Prying parents of Reddit. What secret of your child did you discover that made you wish you hadn't? Not parent, not the kid in question. Probably worse though. I've told this story on Reddit before but no one really cared. I'll post the cliff notes anyway. Media class. Make group YouTube account. 3 of us share a YouTube account. Me 15. Her 16. Her. Female. Friend 16. Her younger brother 11. See where this is going? We go to her house to film. She stays logged into YouTube on her home PC. Fast forward few weeks later in class. Searching YouTube cloud history whilst connected to projector. Multiple and repeated 11-year-old girls in white panties video and search variations almost daily. Girl assume it's me and that I've been stealing her underwear whilst at her house. Not fun. Rumors spread. Teachers got involved. I denied everything. Got suspended. Threatened with being expelled. Ended up in counseling. Got billed for underwear I didn't steal too. Ended up leaving school few months later. All because that little crap hadn't discovered Pornhub. Jesus, that sucks. There's nothing you can do but deny it, and if they don't believe you then you're fricked. Also, posts like this make me cringe at how many times I tried to search for underage P when I was like 12-14. I was probably 11 or 12, maybe younger at the time, and recently discovered the wonderful miracle that is masturbation. I had a bunk bed and got naked under the covers to do my thing when my door opens up and in walks my dad just looking to hang out and see what I'm doing. I didn't know how to respond and he sees that I'm covered from the neck down. So he thinks I'm trying to hide something, and so ensues him laughing trying to get me to show him what it is, and I nearly have a heart attack trying to stay covered. He soon realizes what's going on and says, "Oh," and walks out. My dad's a pastor. Super embarrassing at the time but not the only time I've been caught since LOL. This is about parents but I don't know when else I'll get to tell. One time in high school I came home on a night where I had said I would be staying at a friend's. Walked into the living room to see a porno on the 50 inches TV screen. But they weren't even watching. They were just chillin' and playing cards on the coffee table while a girl blew some guy in the background. I just go in the window or make ridiculous amounts of noise when I come in nowadays. They were probably waiting for the other couples to show up. This didn't happen to me. It happened to my older brother. Anyways, my oldest brother had moved to Arizona for the summer and he came back and he has no shame. He's talking to me and he pulls out a fleshlight but it was still in its box or whatever, and on the box were 2 anime girls with big titties. And he's like, "Look, LOL." So we both have a laugh and go to bed. A couple days later I'm walking down the hall and I see my dad talking to him, but my brother always has the nervous look on his face when he's embarrassed. And so my dad leaves and I ask my brother what happened, and this is what he said. "Dad found my fleshlight behind the couch and at first I was worried cause I thought he was gonna get mad at me, but instead he tried to comfort me by telling me that he's seen worse things, and he said that when he was in the Marines one of his buddies would literally orgasm every time he heard or saw a picture of Sandra Bullock. And we're looking at each other and just burst out laughing. That's something I'll never forget. Keep a photo of Sandra Bullock and show it to all your dad's friends that come over." Golden shower vids on Pornhub in my 12-year-old's browser history. About the whitelist. It's not a strict whitelist. I use OpenDNS, which starts with a whitelist database, with selectable categories. Unknown sites after that have to be discreetly added. About oppressing my daughter's orientation. We have open and healthy discussion about those things. It's just not centered around fringe videos found on the internet. For comparison, I don't talk about world news while sitting around watching ISIS beheading videos either. Anyone thinking otherwise should really take some time to call CPS or their local Leo office and vet the legality of how they think they should be raising their children. When I was probably 16 I took a picture of my hard-on to send to a chick I met online with my mom's computer. I thought I was so freaking smart by putting it in a folder inside a folder with several empty folders, LOL. Or when I was maybe 13 and got the email address of the wrestler Sable from WWF, back when it was WWF, and emailed her telling her I wanted to frick her using Outlook Express with the email login credentials that were already on the computer. This is probably why they thought it was me that ordered pay-per-view P that time when it really wasn't. The other things were me, yes, but that definitely wasn't. I thought I was so freaking smart by putting it in a folder inside a folder with several empty folders lol. Frick, you just reminded me of when I was about 11 and saved some pictures of a P-star in a folder called Pronster, thinking the misspelled name would disguise it somehow. What the frick was I thinking? My mom really liked to really go through my stuff. Whenever I'd be out of the house, school trip, sleepover, she'd feel inspired to clean my room and find something to be pee at me about. But there's a very specific story to tell here. When I was 17, I pierced my own dong. Now, I did a lot of research. I purchased an autoclaved piercing needle, appropriate internally threaded jewelry, and Pennington slotted forceps. I did all the research, pierced it with no problem in our bathroom, and went about my life. It wasn't the smartest thing, but everything worked out. Now, I also knew enough that you can't just dispose of a piercing needle. So, I wrapped it in a paper towel, and then duct taped it all together. That was there'd be no accidental pokes. I shoved that into a container tucked in my closet, to dispose of later. Anyway, I was out on some school trip for a few days, and you can probably guess what happened. When I got home, my mom wouldn't look at me or talk to me. I had no idea what she was mad at me for, although I had an educated guess, so I just left it alone. I was laying on my bed in my room later, when my mom walked in and just handed the phone to me. No explanation given. I put it up to my ear. Hello. Hi, this is so and so from Dr. So and so's office of urology. Your mother tells me that you pierced your own dong? Yeah? I have no idea how she knew what exactly I pierced. I guess process of elimination. But she forced me to make an appointment. Long story short, the doctor was impressed with the piercing. Apparently the only piercings he sees aren't doing too well, and told me and my mom so. It was really vindicating for me, but she was so pee. She told me to take it out. I told her I did but didn't. She couldn't force me to show her, so we just went on with our lives. And then I moved across the country for college the next year. We are a pretty open family and encourage our kids to come to us with any questions, but kids being kids, I caught my oldest snooping through my computer using the home grub. Clearly I wasn't trying to hide anything, but seeing files with updates that I knew I hadn't looked at in forever keyed me in. So being the troll of a dad that I am, I spent some time tracking down the most bizarre adult act videos I could find and leaving them in my download folder and renaming them. He finally figured it out and said, "Okay dad, that's totally fricked up. LOL, you need a Dad of the Fricking Year award." When I was 15, I took a Polaroid of my completely naked boyfriend and kept it hidden under my waterbed mattress. Later on that semester, we had some family issues and my twin sister and I were sent to live with my grandma for a few months, and I worried about that pic the whole time. When we returned, my mom had decided to surprise us by cleaning our rooms and found the picture of my BF, standing like Captain Morgan in all his glory, but never said a word to me, so I had no idea. Flash forward a couple of months and I'm snooping around my parents' bedroom and I find that picture stashed in her private drawer, with her other private things, and I accidentally leave it on their bed, instead of putting it away, and my dad finds it and all heck breaks loose with him yelling, "I thought you threw that away months ago." When I was in high school, I had an unusual set of circumstances fall into my lap. Middle class, white, in a sort of midway between suburban and rural town. I had been dating the same guy since I was 12 or 13. He had been kicked out of his house, and being the loyal and crafty 15-year-old partner, I built a false wall under my loft-style bed, a cavity hidden behind my little mini lover seat where he could sleep. He was somewhat older than me, and not in school anymore, so after the first few weeks some modifications had been made to the setup. We moved my little 11 inches bubble TV next to the couch, opened a small slit in the false wall, and ran controllers through so he could play video games without the possibility of getting caught. I also got a shoe organizer and hung it down from the bed into his little nook, and filled it with snacks. He bought the same laptop as me so I could switch them on the charger and no one would be the wiser. We managed to get by like this for a couple months. And then I fricked up by borrowing my mom's earrings and forgetting to return them. She came into my room one evening when thankfully both my boyfriend and I were not home, looking for her earrings. I didn't know that my boyfriend had stashed his herb in my jewelry box, and so as she is digging through my things she stumbles upon a cigarette box with a diamond side. This prompts a tearing apart of my room, uncovering various other paraphernalia, such as condoms, lube, my corncob, a ritual knife, and eventually, the shoe organizer full of snacks. She left all of it in a pile on top of my dresser with a note on the cigarette box that said something to the effect of "You are making bad choices and I hope you course correct." I am sure I would have gotten much worse than a sticky note if my parents had pieced together that I had someone living in their house without their knowledge. So I guess this is a reversal. I'm a kid that is seriously glad my parents didn't discover my secret. Not me, but my aunt. My cousin sadly committed suicide at age 19. She was too blinded by her love of him to acknowledge the fairly obvious fact that he had fallen in with the wrong crowd and killed himself because he had gotten in over his head. She was convinced he was being cyberbullied, so she had the police investigate his phone and laptop to see if she could find any evidence to support this. What she found instead was some extremely graphic and violent adult fetish p. Uncovered the fact he dealt H and also stole cars. She is still looking for someone else to blame for his death, so will keep searching for answers in spite of the fact of what she will find will forever tarnish her memory of him. TLDR. My cousin committed suicide and my aunt searched his phone and web history and found many unsavory things. My sister and her son lived with me and my parents when he was younger. I would babysit while my sister was in college. When my nephew was 6 he started hanging out behind the couch. Every day he would go back there and just hang out. I figured, hey, whatever, it's probably like a fort to him. Well, one afternoon he is just laughing his butt off having a great old time behind the couch. I lean over so I can see what's up and ask if he wants a sandwich or something. And all around the baseboard are the largest collection of dead bugs I have ever seen. All laid out, some with little flowers or rocks at their heads like little tombstones. It was like a bug graveyard. My nephew looks at me and starts laughing. I ask him what's funny. He points at the bugs and says, "Look, Auntie Tank General, they are all dead." I say, "Yes, they sure are." He replies, "They always ran away when I would catch them, but things don't move anymore when they are dead, so they stay with me." I kinda looked at him weird, then just asked if he wanted a sandwich. I was very unsure about what to do about this, so I said nothing and let him play with his bug graveyard. He seemed to like it. I gave him a little box to put his bugs away in after he was done playing because my mom would have lost her mind if she found a bunch of dead bugs, and I am not sure how my sister would react. He is a very normal 15-year-old now and is really into biology and geology. And going into biology and university, I guess the bugs were just his early understandings and interest in how biology works. But man, until he announced he was into biology in high school, I was always on the lookout to see if he was becoming a serial killer or something. Apparently though, my sister knew about the dead bugs and had wondered where he got the box from. But he didn't tell her it was me because he was worried I would get in trouble. She told him not to play with his bugs if grandma was home. And my mom knew about the bugs too and just told him to make sure he washed his hands after, but didn't tell us because she thought we would freak out. Turns out we all knew about the dead bugs and kept it from each other, thinking we were protecting the kid from having his hobby taken away. He never clued us into the fact that everyone knew about the bugs. We adopted one of our kids and he is biracial, while the rest of the family is white. Back when he was in 2nd grade, I found a writing assignment that the kids had to do. They essentially had to write 3 things they would wish for if they had a genie. One of the things he wrote was, "I wish I was white." That really hit me hard. I thought we had done enough to incorporate his racial cultural background. It wasn't something we just ignored. It hurt to see that he didn't want to be who he was and that we had something to do with that. I hated that he felt that way and I hated that I found it. In hindsight, however, I am glad I found it. It opened up the dialogue even more and our son revealed that he wanted to move somewhere where he wasn't one of the only black kids. We did end up moving to a much more diverse area a few years later and I love it here. My son is now in middle school and is pretty comfortable talking about racial identity. As much as it hurt finding the paper, I think it was beneficial to get it out in the open. Wow, this was me as a kid, adopted from Chile with 2 very white parents. I remember going to church and praying to be white. I'm retired. My daughter is 22, just started grad school, was valedictorian in high school, couldn't be more proud. She was home for a few weeks last summer. She was in the shower. I couldn't find my phone and I needed to get a hold of my wife who was out shopping. We were going to meet her for lunch. Grabbed my daughter's phone. As luck would have it, she still used the same code from when she was in high school. When we got her first phone when she was 16, we required that we knew her code to unlock it. Unlocked her phone and the first thing to appear on the phone was a text message where she had sent a picture to someone. The picture was a selfie of her and 3 black men in bed. There was nothing obscene in the picture, but they were all naked and smiling for the camera. I didn't read the text message, but I saw enough to know that it said something to the effect of "had a great time, can't wait to see you guys again." I closed her phone and said nothing. Had a knot in my stomach all through lunch. Have never told anyone about it until now. Not even her mother. She is an adult and is free to make her own choices. And God knows, I sure did some crazy crap when I was her age. But I really wish I had never seen that. I was once really hungry, so I ate a banana in the shower and threw the banana peel on the shower floor. Dad found it later and asked me, quite angrily, what debauchery I was up to with a banana in the shower. He probably thought I was shoving it up my butt. Jesus, Dad, your poor son was just hungry. Leave me be, you old frick. Update. A lot of people are alerting me to this show error range thing, and I'm going to try it tonight. Except I won't leave any trash behind. I'll actually put it in the bin, where it belongs. Not my child, but my brother. I was searching his room for weed once. I don't smoke, long story, and instead found a gimp mask, ball gag and whip. Still don't know what to make of that. My brother is the world's biggest smartass prankster attention seeker. For all I know, he wore it to a fancy dress party. He would do something like that. I think that I'd like to keep that theory in my head. Thanks. I see why you like to believe that theory, as the probable truth is that he wears it when he is being dominated by his big butt boyfriend. Not a parent, but a grandson. My grandpa recently lost his wife, and like most old people, he is technology challenged. He has an iPad he uses all the time, but I'm pretty sure he has no idea tabs exist. I was using his iPad for some reason or another and opened a new tab so I wouldn't mess up whatever he had opened. When I opened it, I noticed he had like 50 tabs open, and like 30 of them were P. I closed all the P tabs and never said a word. We have a lot of younger kids around that use the iPad on a more regular basis. They would have been more embarrassed to see grandpa looking at P. I'm old enough that it wasn't weird, but I quietly saved him from embarrassment if anyone else saw it. Apparently the old man really likes BJ's, LOL. My entire family was helping my auntie and her son move house. Her son, my cousin, was 14 and had his first girlfriend, who was also there helping load furniture and boxes. Each room was packed and loaded onto a truck by midday except for my cousin's, as he had insisted he do his own room. His room hadn't been packed at all. The only distinct difference was 3 trash bags, poorly tied in the middle of the room. My auntie, furious with his progress, refuses his pleas to let him do it alone and grabs a bag to take to the trash, and in front of everybody, my mom, grandparents, uncles, cousins, sisters etc. She accidentally drops the bag and it unties, spilling out used condoms all over the hallway floor. We are talking heaps of them, a full trash bag full. Keep in mind there were 2 more full bags as well. His girlfriend went home with tears of pure shame pouring out her eyes, and he sort of stood there in a panic, not knowing whether to run away in embarrassment or pick up his jizz-filled rubbers that were sprawled out in front of our entire family. It was a day to remember. Not my kid, but my kid sister. Okay, she's 3 years younger than me, but she's the youngest and I always call her my kid baby sister. I went into her room to try to steal one of her phone charger wires. She left her bag on her bed and it was open. The second I saw it, my heart dropped. A pregnancy test box. She'd just turned 17. I searched for the test but it wasn't there. I truly wished I'd never found it for a moment or two. But then I realized I needed to support my sister. Eventually she came in from work and I explained what had happened. She immediately just turned and started walking up the stairs, saying nothing. I followed her and reassured her that I wasn't angry and wasn't going to tell our mother. I just needed to know so that I could support her through this. She then burst into tears and told me that the test had been positive but she miscarried a month ago. Honestly, I was heartbroken. Both for the loss of the baby but also because she hadn't felt she could tell us. I'm glad that her then boyfriend's family was in the know and his mother was apparently very supportive and had taken her and her boyfriend to the hospital and taken good care of her. But I wish she had let that be me. I wish she had felt she could tell me. I supported her through it the best I could and we had lots of cuddles and cried together a lot. She still didn't want me to tell our mom or other sister and I didn't. A few years later she fell pregnant again and I like to think that I did right by her after the miscarriage because I was the first person she told. Unfortunately that pregnancy also ended in loss. Fast forward a few more years and I now have the most beautiful nephew and niece I could have ever imagined. They have no idea what they mean to me. When I went off to college, I started getting rid of the boxes of my adult toys because I was paranoid of throwing them in the trash on the off chance dad would find them. Don't know why. Sometimes he loses things in the trash. So on the last night before I left, in the middle of the night, I threw the boxes in a Walmart bag, tied it, and threw it in our trash container outside. Day before trash day, I thought I was clever. Wrong. When I came home one break I brought my corn cob home and forgot it when I went back. I called mom for something a few months later for something completely unrelated. And then mom was like, oh, by the way, I was looking through your room for pens. I have a ton of pens. And I found your adult toy. She told me this while I was on the school shuttle so I'm trying to keep a straight face while on the inside my stomach kind of dropped. So I replied with a hug, and she's like, I really wish you had come to me about this instead of going behind my back and getting this. And some other conversation. And then she makes the comment about how she's worried about the black one because it looks kind of big and something don't want to be loose for your husband when you share your first time. I was not a virgin by this conversation. I told her that's not how twats work and I'm sure mine will be fine. After she hangs up I start to second guess myself and ask my FWB, on a scale of 1 to 10 how does my tea feel? What the frick are you talking about? Like, how does it feel? Is it tight? Does it feel fine? It feels like a pee. Thanks mom. My soon-to-be 11-year-old daughter was caught hiding behind a recliner in the living room watching pee. It was pretty embarrassing for her. She tried to blame it on her older friend but I had kinda snuck up on her and seen the screen before she could get it off the screen. Then her tech-savvy dad took a look through it and totally asked me just to make sure, you're not looking at big black dong pee, are you PFFT? No. I look at my pee on my phone, not the tablet that I share with my children. Jeez. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.